All right. We are here once again with another episode of the Wide World of Electronic Sports. The one and only Rodney Conyers Jr. here to join me today. How you feeling, Rod?
I'm doing okay. I'm in good spirits right now because we are, back after having a week off, which is a large part of that is my fault. I just completely fucked up my scheduling. I was coming back from First Attack in Puerto Rico, which we got to talk about a little bit later on too, because fighting games. But outside of that, I'm feeling really good spiritually that I'm back. Physically, I'm going through a sinus infection. I get two a year. In fact, I was on an episode of Wide World the last time I had this in the spring. I was in Texas, remember? And I couldn't breathe out of my nose. And now
Yeah.
I'm back, not able to breathe. But it's all good, though, because we get to talk some games, Denny.
Yeah. There's been plenty going on around the world. And the last few weeks have been pretty interesting. We've had some betas. We've had some, some tourneys start up and such. Been pretty solid. Thank you for that sub. 52 months in a row from Squires. Man. That's
Let's go.
call support right there. I'll give you a little round of applause for that. For coming through.
Yeah. I'm dropping some Blakes and some Oscars in the chat for that. Here we go.
Yeah, putting in that work. But we appreciate the support. You can always drop some sub love on the stream if you enjoy the content, or if you have that Prime sub, if you're Amazon Prime, you can do so as well. We appreciate all the love and support. But there's been plenty that happened the past 2 weekends, and I'm sure we'll get into all of that too. But we figured, we start off with something a little bit more unorthodox for the show because there was some quality Tetris action this week, which is actually pretty entertaining to watch. They had James Chen on commentary. And things got pretty intense.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that, man. I've been struggling to try to figure out what the connective tissue is between people who like fighting games and Tetris. Is it the split-second decision making? Is that what it is? Like the frame perfect drops? Because for one, James Chen is in this, like you mentioned. Big shout out to James Chen, commentary legend, the FGC commentator, if you will. That dude could commentate the Bible. No, all jokes aside, though, he's pretty fucking amazing. Of course, coming over to a game that has transcended time, like how his skills have on the mic, Tetris. Dude, we have played Tetris a handful of times here with the stimulus games. You and I, we watch a lot of CEO. They do a big Puyo Puyo bracket. I think they do one as well at Combo Breaker. And it's just, there's something there that just, it scratches, it interacts with that fighting game part of my brain. I don't know what it is, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're, having to make so many instant decisions, and the reaction time and skill needed to make that stuff happen in the way that they do is really, it takes a lot of skill to stay on top of. And of course, I know that Asif and some others are fans of, some of the newer Tetris, gameplay as well. But yeah, this is a little bit of old school classic action here. But Tetris in general has been having some pretty good runs, both more the new age stuff and the old. So pretty cool to see. But
yeah,
I think there is something to that when it comes to that itch you were talking about. I think with the way that people have to make so many decisions so quickly, and also it's kind of soothing to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's almost like like when you throw on white noise or airplane engines when you're trying to sleep. I can just throw a Tetris tournament on and just crash to it, And I would imagine a lot of these top player individuals kind of feel the same as well too. I'm actually looking at the championship official rankings from each year. So I don't know if this exactly started in 2010, but it goes all the way back to 2010 though. And so for the first how many years? 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the first 4 years, we had the same champion. His name was Jonas Neubauer.
Mm-hmm.
And he won the first 4 years in a row. So he won from 2010 to 2013. And then That first year, he had the runner-up. The second place gentleman was a person of the name Harry Hong. So Harry Hong met him in Grands the first year, disappeared, then came back the last year, met him in Grands, lost again. But in 2014, Harry Hong finally won and he beat Jonas, only for Jonas to come back and take it in 2015, 16, and 17.
Interesting.
And this year is the first year that we have not had a consecutive winner, somebody who has won before. Eric Tolt goes by the tag EricICX, defeated Justin Fractal U, excuse me, in the grand finals. And I'm gonna be real, just like in fighting games, when somebody's beating your ass in Tetris, like it's very apparent. It's very apparent. Like I know, I think I sent the clip, like that B-roll that was running. That was pretty intense, man. Like he was not on this plane of existence anymore, Denny. He was in the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean it gets pretty real as you can see between like each level and like the percentages. But I like that it's just easy. It's fairly easy to follow, and then you also have like the point scores as well per line, so you can see when things are moving through pretty easily. And James and I forget who's the other commentator. They had some pretty entertaining commentary as well. That made it even better to watch. I have watched some Tetris connected, but I haven't really watched much of the classic Tetris recently. So it was nice to kind of see something like this happening, and just refreshing as the grand finals now got a little bit intense.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a break from the norm too. I think Tetris, like you said, is kind of like the old classic that I think people a lot of times forget about. I know obviously you and I come from like a big fighting game background, and most people in the fighting game community need little to no excuse to talk about the lore and like where the game comes from and the good old days. Even despite being in the good old days, allegedly there are days that precede these days that were even more good than the ones we're in. But Tetris existed long before a lot of our favorite fighting game titles, and like we talked about, kind of scratches that same itch. And I'm happy that they're still doing it. I'm honestly in the camp of believing that this could be looked at as one of the earliest esports. And I think that there should be more money behind this. Like, if I had to give any game the esports seal of blind esport money investors from across the ocean seal of approval, Tetris is probably like top 2 or 3 for me. Like, this game needs to be taken more serious at a high level. Not saying that these guys aren't top professionals, but I would love to see a bigger scene for this.
Yeah, I think that there's some things going on similar to how Smash has multiple titles, both your melee and Brawl and such, but then there's also still Ultimate. I think that there's something to that when it comes to Tetris Effect and watching Tetris Effect in comparison to the classic game. So there's definitely something there. I found it interesting, just like the strategy used here as well, like on these NES pads. As you can see, like Eric's got that glove and the just the flick of the motion there. This is some pro level Tetris action happening here if the button presses. So really cool. Just the amount of strategy that goes into this kind of stuff, as far as like both technique and everything else, similar to other games. But yeah, he's got like this 2-finger approach on the button end, kind of almost like using a pad.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting. Is like I don't know if it's like a regulation thing where you have to use the NES pad in that way because it's the classic one, or if it's just more of a preference compared to using a gamepad that may be easier on the hands.
That's actually a good question. That's actually a good question. I guess I didn't really take that into consideration for a game like Tetris, but I guess again, drawing the parallels between like this and fighting games, like your controller means everything, or your lack thereof controller, or your pad, whatever it is you choose to use, it means everything. I mean, it's like I think of Smug. Every time I do the thing in Jabaliland, I watch him. I think he use an Xbox controller for Street Fighter or something like that. And I know he has like the adapter piece that kind of helps him, plug into most systems. And, I guess the controller thing is everything. And myself, being over 6 foot, I know, you're a tall gentleman as well with big monstrous hands. I couldn't imagine trying to use this controller. Like this controller would just, I mean, at this point, I might as well just be using a Joy-Con because, like, I can't even hold this thing. Like, but they're making it look easy.
Yeah, there's definitely strategy there, and also some like Squire is saying in the chat that I think it's a requirement as far as the controller goes. So I
Hmm.
guess they had to. You have to figure out how to use that effectively, and I'm sure strategy has changed over time and over the years. But as you can see there at the end here, pulling it out. But look at how many people you got in the crowd watching this. There's definitely a scene for for Tetris, both the Tetris Effect and classic game. And yeah, I think I'd like to see this on a bigger stage in some way. I think it's fairly easy to follow, and I think it's kind of universal as far as people who may be interested in watching, being able to follow what's going on in the long run.
Hmm.
And explain that to people that might just be passerby. So, yeah, maybe there's an opportunity with the right connections for some kind of casual viewership to build as well over time for this.
Hmm.
Because this was I'm not sure what date this was on, but I can tell right now that the actual
Oh, it was.
the finals had about 65,000 views or so
Yeah.
for just this third day. So that's some pretty good numbers. There's fighting games not getting those kind of numbers at some of these tourneys.
Man.
So yeah, definitely some major scenage for the Tetris in. Got he's sharing the shark there.
Hmm.
but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I really like this a lot. I think they're actually playing on the original NES consoles as well. Because my first thought was, oh, they just must be using the NES Mini. Like, but then I went and looked. Like right now,
Nah,
NES
they
Mini
definitely got
doesn't have.
old school NESs. Yeah, it's definitely the original consoles there. I'm sure that's part of
Yeah,
the
this.
regulation. Yeah, there's one behind them
Yeah,
too. I can see in the chat.
yeah. See, there's no Tetris on the old or the newer versions, and this is really cool. I mean, I think again, this game has all the right ingredients for it to be a bigger esport, and it almost kind of takes the best of both worlds from like what the speedrunners like, you know what I mean? And then
Mm-hmm.
versus like what the traditional esport viewer likes as well too. Like it's almost like a healthy mix of both right down the middle. And anyway, to sum it all up, because I can gawk about this all day. Like I would really hope that somebody out there, it's like, hey, I got $1 billion just sitting around and I need to put it towards something. Speedrunners got their stuff. League of Legends got their stuff, fighting games. I think Tetris is the next one. And honestly, for what we've seen, Tetris is for everybody because the young man at CEO, God, his name escapes me, but he won Puyo Puyo free. Like I'm talking, he freed everybody up. And I'm like, if somebody his age can do that, Tetris is going to transcend generations. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely room. You get folks who try and clown games or like, why'd you spend your time into this? People are passionate about different things. I think that you can tell that with esports. People may be taking it more seriously now because there's more money in it for certain games. But the same way there's DDR and other competitions. People that play Beat Saber,
Mm.
those kind of things. There could be a scene that builds around those and communities that build around those games that may require more physical activity or more head to head or face to face stuff. So I encourage it. I think that there's room for that and growth in classic titles just as much as there is in new games that come out like your Call of Duties and such.
Yeah. Even like DDR, bro. Like DDR gets very intense. And I mean, hell, I don't play DDR to save my life. I'm fucking garbage, but I like watching other people play it because you can tell they're very synced up. Like there's a rhythm, there's a technique, and yeah, I think they're still in a very, like you said, kind of like a bit of an untapped market for games that kind of fall into this category. But hopefully, again, somebody tosses some money at it. Now, a game that ain't gonna be short on money or viewership or any of that, that is almost as old as Tetris. There's the Street Fighter franchise, Denny, and I know you and TJ got your hands on the Street Fighter 6 closed beta.
Yeah,
And in your words, y'all was throwing some hands. What's up with that?
yeah, it was a good time. The Street Fighter Six beta happened last week and was a ton of fun.
Hmm.
I think that there's some people were worried at first when Street Fighter Six was announced, thinking that hey, will they learn from their mistakes with Street Fighter Five? Will we see some changes there? And will there be more growth as far as what you can actually do in game and technique available in game and stuff like that? I think that all of those worries have been pretty much wiped out at this point after having my hands actually on the game. But yeah, we got to try out some things. The closed beta had a few characters, but it didn't have all of them available at the time of the beta itself. But it was a lot of fun just to kind of get in and throw down a little bit. Now, TJ got a little bit more time with the game at the time because he had gotten to play it a bit more in person as well because they had the Evo play and stuff like that too. But yeah, the characters felt good. The game itself looks great. I was playing this on PS5, and there was also some pretty quality soundtrack. Music was on point. Characters all have their own themes that sound pretty good. I know Chun got a new one that's a bit different than her previous one that's been around a couple years. And there's a lot more of a community aspect with this one. We didn't get to try out the world tour mode because that was locked for the beta, but we did try out a few of the other things they had in store. We got to create our own characters. TJ went with like an offshoot Sagat kind of action with like some chain, like fists around his arms, like some Muay Thai. I went more like a traditional look, but yeah, you get to create your own character basically. And one thing I did like early on was that it was pretty easy to kind of get into games and servers. So like, say if your friends are playing, you can tell them what server you're in, and you can find them in the the battle center basically, and track them down. So there's kind of like a hub world you can kind of bounce around to. There's like in-game arcade cabinets so you can challenge your friends in real time. They did have some of the specialty modes too, like some like special event modes where there's stuff on screen that you have to leap over, like bulls running through the stage and stuff like that. And they did have some other features available too, like Final Fight and stuff like that too, which I'm hoping they're gonna add in some more arcade titles from like the old school Capcom games. But I would love to see like the previous Street Fighter games available in the classic tournament area for people to just kind of hop in and play like some Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 3, depending on if that's available. I mean, Capcom can totally do it. We just have to kind of wait and see if they do. But the game itself felt pretty good. Some tactics felt a little bit abusive at times, I will say, but that was more so because of the some of the bugs and kind of early glitches with the beta. I missed out on like the tutorial mode and stuff like that. So some of the stuff that I would have liked to kind of learn more about while playing, I wasn't able to because there's no way to go back and view the tutorial again in the beta. All that stuff was locked out for some reason, which I thought was kind of strange. If you want people to learn the game, I feel like the tutorial option should be available to check out and stuff like that. So you can learn the new mechanics because there's plenty of them in this game. Now I don't know if that was on purpose or if it was just a bug, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to go through and kind of learn piece by piece what the new mechanics were. But I did learn through actually fighting, which you can see on screen. There was plenty of that happening. TJ was a big fan of Jury and was definitely fond of putting feet in my face with these dive kicks. But I decided to give Kimberly a try. She's got some pretty cool, combo strings and some interesting tactics for how to kind of get on opponents and stuff like that. But every character I tried, because I did play a bit on my own stream and stuff afterwards. It was a lot of fun just figuring out what does what. Now, one of the big mechanics that they've added is drive impact and just the drive meter in general, which is the green bars you can see kind of at the top there. So instead of making a situation where you burn meter more traditionally like Street Fighter 4 and 5, they have this drive meter where you can spin your meter for different things, like being able to kind of cancel out of moves to kind of get some frame advantage, or using drive impact, which is kind of like a focus attack almost, where you can pretty much armor through several hits and get an attack off. And if you are able to pull off that impact near an opponent when they're in the corner, you get a free wall bounce,
Oh
which will
my.
lead to some crazy combo potential, and you can still combo into like specials and ultras and all kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal and adds to some massive damage opportunities as well. I'm surprised I pulled that comeback there, but it happened. But yes, so what makes it interesting is that the drive situation, you can run out of drive meter, in which case you'll be entered into a burnout mode. The burnout status changes up how you have to, approach your opponent and how you have to play the game. It's just for a brief time period, but it can actually be really effective to kind of convince or kind of, make your opponent burn through their drive meter, and then they're entered into burnout. They can't use certain abilities. Drive impact is no longer available. And it just gives you, opportunity to kind of like wear out your opponent.
Mm.
Now, what makes this different than, say, previous games where, like, say you use a fireball or something like that and you burn
Mm.
meter, is that you actually use meter from taking special attacks. So if you're just eating fireballs, you're gonna lose meter to actually make that comeback. So it forces you to actually be proactive about how you approach playing. You can't just sit there and block, because on block, if you're just taking block damage, you're gonna lose meter. So that encourages the player to use other options like parry. There is
Mm.
parrying in this game as well, so those become more of an option for you. Where basically they built this game, it seems, around giving you the opportunity to use plenty of offensive attacks and stuff like that, but also giving players the ability to make some solid defensive choices as well, where you have to actually choose kind of, how you want to spend meter and how you want to effectively get the most damage while not leaving yourself open to too many opportunities to get hit with some kind of comeback, which is cool.
Mm.
The new characters feel good. Kimberly feels great. She's kind of got like a mixture of guy and, she's got some big shinobi energy
Mm.
there. So you get some like, smoke bombs and dive kicks, and just feels pretty good. She's got some run moves as well, slide kicks. Jamie's another new character who's got like a drunken boxing style, which is pretty dope. But his abilities are all tied to drinks, so you have to be able to use different attacks in a way that will gain drink. There's different levels to the drinks, so unlock different moves. Then once you reach the top level, you get some different abilities. My man lets his hair down out of the braid. You know, my homegirl was like, "Looks like my man's got a full got a full weave in," but it was flowing in the wind. After he takes that fifth drink, it's moving. But yeah, you can just tell that there's a lot of personality in this game, and a lot of like love and care was spent in this one so far, from what I can tell. Like they definitely seem to be wanting to make this an opportunity to get things back on track compared to how things started out Street Fighter Five, where it had like one of the worst launch periods I think of any game I've seen in a while, any fighting game. This seems to be the opposite, where they plan on launching of a ton of different features, from what I can tell. Between having the hub, which I'll show off a bit of, the even the created character and stuff like that, where you get to kind of create your own person. It seems like they pretty much like gathered all of the stuff that was in like Monster Hunter as far as creation opportunities and options, and then tossed them in this game. Also, it is running on RE engine, so it's built from the ground up on the same stuff that you see Resident Evil 7 and Village using in those kind of games, which is a pretty powerful engine too. So the game itself looks great in motion. There's plenty of effects and stuff like that to make it look even cooler. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for what you can do with this game right now, just based off of how I've seen people approaching combo strings and potential. I've seen like 75% damage combos and stuff like that going off with the wall, or some characters even have a ground bounce, like can hit a spin kick outside of a corner and then get a ground bounce off of it just to knock you all the way to the other side of the screen basically after they're done with their combo. So there's been plenty of interesting stuff, characters, style. Um, so far, I'm looking forward to it so far for the most part. Pretty much, it's got a good feel to it as far as gameplay goes.
Mm. And that's good. When
Yeah.
I went to First Attack just the weekend before, which is why we ended up missing a Wide World episode. Um, but I was able to gather a little bit of insight from some of the people there. Now, some of the individuals at First Attack, I know we talked about to other people in the chat. A lot of them were just under like strict NDAs. You can't talk about Street Fighter 6 just because of who you are in the community, what you might want to see, what's already in the game. All that type of stuff can be taken the wrong way. If somebody from your huge following hears it, they're going to think your word is gospel, which in a lot of ways it is. And, they're going to, take it to the bank. So I was able to, walk around the Street Fighter 6 area. Big shout out to, of course, Liberty Internet, which I believe is the #1 internet provider in Puerto Rico, who helped bring all the beta test setups. I think half the setups were theirs. The other halves might have been Mono's as well, too. So, of course, big shout out to Mono for doing a phenomenal job at First Attack this year. Very, very good. He went on, they all went on to explain some of the things that they liked in the game, some of the things that they didn't like. Now, if I'm not mistaken, because the lines were insanely long, I didn't get a chance to play. Chip damage, that's not a thing anymore, correct?
Yeah, I believe the only way that you get chip damage is there's only one particular way. I'm forgetting what it is right now, but for the most part, yeah, chip damage is gone.
Okay.
But that's where the drive meter comes into play, because if you're just eating fireballs or eating hits on block instead of doing something about it, you lose your drive meter. So then, like, say if you're a character like Guile, who is constantly throwing sonic booms, if you for some reason were just eating the fireballs to the face instead of parrying them or perfect parry or something like that, you would lose the drive meter potential basically to be able to hit some of those other abilities over time.
Correct.
So it becomes a bigger factor in both the defensive end, but also on the offensive end, as far as how you react to the people's play style.
Now, what about gaining meter as well? Does this share a very similar method to like what we see in anime fighters, where if you move forward or if you're holding forward, you gain meter faster? Did I hear that right, or is that wrong?
That I'm not able to confirm. I haven't heard that personally myself, but it wouldn't surprise me. It seems like there's definitely more emphasis on not necessarily being aggressive, but just being active instead of like just sitting back and letting your opponent do everything for you to try and punish in that way. It seems like the developers want you to be making decisions constantly throughout. So whether that's just movement or spacing, opening of normals, or being able to parry properly to get the perfect hit into a combo string and stuff like that. It seems like there's just a lot more decision making happening throughout the round in comparison to what I'm used to in Street Fighter Five.
I see.
And that seems to be the big thing I've noticed with just anyone I played through online, whether it was someone that I just played for the first time or my friends. There's just a lot more choices being made in an individual round, it feels like, than just sitting there.
Now, let me ask you this on the subject of like fluidity, because I know that that's a big thing that people always look for in fighting games. Like, how does this one feel in comparison to some of the last ones, especially some of the favorites? Specifically speaking about, of course, Third Strike and Ultra Street Fighter 4. How does this feel in terms of like fluidity? Like, does it feel like the combos are coming out in time? Like, of course, the frame data is different because it's a whole new game, but does everything feel like where it's supposed to be, or do you feel some areas are a little bit more rigid than others?
Yeah, movement wise, things feel good. There's definitely gameplay is smooth, but one thing that's also important is that as far as like connectivity, I didn't have any connection issues when it came to actual gameplay. It was we had some drops and stuff like that, but all of that was through just the beta being a beta, where the game itself would just disconnect. But when it came to actually playing online and playing against both friends or randoms in game, had no issues for the most part. Connection was fine. There's also going to be a feature that allows you to agree to end the game that you're
Yes.
in if there is an issue with connection or something like that, or for whatever reason, which will have to be agreed upon on by both parties. But it does give you the opportunity to kind of like end that game without taking a loss or having your rank drop because of connection issues or something like that. And keep in mind that this stuff was happening on crossplay as well. So I played with some people on Xbox and had no issues there to either at the same time. So they seem to have thought out some of the things that people would complain about the most in most cases, as far as fluidity and just being able to connect with friends and stuff like that. This is shaping up to be potentially the biggest fighting game to come out next year. Which obviously we don't have a full release date yet, but after this game at some point next year, we're going to be getting this game. In which case, they got all the pieces in place to really kind of build a full blown new reign of Capcom fighters being good again in a way that we kind of missed, to be honest. But that, to be fair though, there's been plenty from Street Fighter V that's been good. The thing that I like about this game so far, and what I think is going to really impact the esports scene and just the FGC in general, is that this game feels more like what what made me like Street Fighter originally, and some of the other titles, like your Third Strikes and Street Fighter 4, is that this game feels like the type of game where characters are going to be more player specific, where Smug playing one character and Jay Wong playing the same character are going to be completely different as far as play style. And that's what was missing from 5. There needs to be more of that kind of ability and flexibility that, characters and players can make those characters their own, and it comes across in their play style so that, that's kind of what built up more of the fan base. When it came to, watching a lot of Street Fighter 4 and stuff like that, like for me, for example, I used to be really big on Rose. And so in Street Fighter 4, you would get two types of Rose players. You get the aggressive Rose player, or you get the more passive defensive Rose players. And so Filipino man compared to Jay Wong would be two completely different playstyles, and that would make me want to watch them more, or like watch their content, watch them training, their competitive aspect, see how their playstyle does against other characters, and that makes it more interesting compared to, well, so and so has these kind of moves, you know what to do, just play them this way and you'll win. That's boring. No one wants to, when you have a game that's as popular as this, and you have thousands of people playing the same character, you don't want to hear someone saying just play this way perfectly and you'll win. No, I want the spontaneity. I want the opportunity to see people trying out new things, finding new combos, things defensively that actually might make a difference, and seeing that kind of play out. This game is giving people the freedom to do that so far, from what I can tell.
I like that, and I think all fighting games should certainly have that, especially for one as important as Street Fighter, who coming into this renaissance period of fighting games. I mean, we've had a few, but I don't think we've seen one this big, like we talked about before, since like that 2008 to like 9 year where like everybody dropped the game. And, I think when you play a character, when you play a fighting game specifically, there should be a level of like freestyle to it where everybody should have their own little flavor. It should even be as apparent as if I took me playing Vega, you playing Vega, and like, you just show the average Street Fighter competitor, like, yo, who's who? Like, okay, that one's definitely a Rod Vega. This one is Denny. You can just tell by the play style. Like, yes, there is an optimal way that Vega should be played, but for the most part, fighting games breeds like that ability to freestyle, that ability to kind of express yourself and just kind of be who you want to
Yeah,
be and play the type of game you want to play. And I'm glad Street Fighter 6 has brought that back. I wasn't exactly sure what the general consensus was when I went to First Attack. There's just a lot of mixed feelings. in their defense too, a lot of these guys and gals are in the midst of bracket, so they're trying to get as many games in the Street Fighter 6 and grind that out, but also like still in the Street Fighter 5 bracket. That's also not on the Capcom Pro Tour, so they're in this bracket kind of just for the sake of being in the bracket and having fun and trying to be a final champion for that last go around of Street Fighter 5. But um, I couldn't tell for some of the people if they were just like frustrated and I should just spin the block and come back later and ask the same question again, or if this is how they really felt. But for the most part, the general consensus at first attack when I went was that they love Street Fighter 6 and they want to see more of it. I believe they did a beta test event there as well too that I didn't get a chance to watch because I was busy commentating another game while it was happening. But everybody had great things to say. Yipes, said he really liked the game. Sherry said she liked the game as well. Talked to Walter from East Coast Throwdown. He said he really enjoys the title. And that's all they could all really give me is that they were just having fun with it. And honestly, if you ain't having fun, what the fuck are you even doing it for? If you ain't got a smile on your face, you might as well just put the controller or the arcade stick down.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of games out there. If it's not doing it for you, I mean, some people, I guess, they feel like they're kind of strung into keeping up with a title or something like that. But I feel like in this situation, there's just a lot more opportunity for players to make decisions, and it not just coming down to the game mechanics themselves being the main reason for making a decision necessarily. I do think that there's opportunity for positive feedback and just feedback in general. After the beta, they did send out a survey with some information, stuff like that, for you to fill out if just to give them some feedback and stuff like that. So what that tells me is that they're trying to listen to the community as far as both the gameplay and just the overall experience. And I think if they had a kind of communication from day one and onward, then there's a good opportunity. You're going to see a long life for this game between new characters, new modes or whatever. It sounds like they're definitely looking to listen to the actual fan base when it comes to that kind of stuff. There was some whispers and complaints when it came to a couple things like Drive Impact, which I got a little bit annoyed with during the beta, but that was more so because I didn't actually get to play the tutorial. So I didn't know some of the move opportunities I could use to kind of stop some of the stuff that people were kind of trying to abuse. But at the same time, a few tweaks I think could balance that out. Right now, the Drive Impact, it feels like people kind of just throw out as an opportunity to like get big damage or whatever, and it's extremely effective in the corner to get the wall bounce. So if you're in a situation now where you're blocking, you now have to worry about both the mix-up and potentially someone hitting the button and getting the free like wall bounce armor check, basically in the damage for you. So that's definitely dangerous. But I think that's something where it's also a brand new game, so people will adjust accordingly, and now it might become something that's more normal over time as far as how people use it and how they respect their opponent when it comes to throwing that kind of thing out. Because it does use meter as well, or drive meter when you use that kind of thing. But yeah, I think once we see more competitive play, I would love to see Capcom, maybe put together some kind of exhibition or something like that with the full roster, or at least the ones that have been revealed, and maybe a new character or two, just to show off more of what can be done in game and kind of how those interactions go. Because there's definitely plenty of the roster we haven't seen, like your Cammy and Zangief, and some new characters too that were in there. So yeah, I think like if we could see some high level gameplay from a few top notch Street Fighter players, maybe seeing it in action with some new characters to kind of keep things more interesting than just what we saw in the beta, I think that would also go over pretty well right now, or sometime in the near future. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would be surprised if we didn't hear more by the Game Awards at the end of the year or something like that about this game.
That's a good point. And honestly, to your point about like listening to the community, I think oh, excuse me, science defection's beating my ass. I think that the community relationship with the developers is in a position that is really good right now. I think they're taking it a step further and saying, hey, traditionally in fighting games, like we do a series of video drops on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever. Hey, this is the game, boom, boom, boom. But honestly, you know that's coming from us. We should just put the games into the hands of the community, especially the people who kind of, laid the foundation for the community. Like all the people who had the beta test at First Attack, excuse me, it just made sense. I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense that you have this. And they have the game, and then of course, they're testing it out, they're giving their opinions. And I like the fact that, of course, they have the feedback option, but I would also imagine, too, that Capcom is paying very close attention to everybody's social media, the Twitters, like who's saying what's being said and how, kind of not to recreate that history of Street Fighter V, where like we kind of just make some plays, and then once it hits Twitter, we address it, as opposed to let's kill it at the gate. Let's just make sure that we're releasing a good product to the right people, release that beta test, make sure that the right people are playing the game, and then take their feedback before we even put out any sort of real content about how to play.
Yeah.
And here's the tournaments. Like it's a very good thing to see.
Yeah, I think they're taking the right approach about it. I mean, clearly there's people that are helping them figure this stuff out behind the scenes, but there's also, I forgot to mention, but there's still things behind the scenes that are happening, like commentators. Like you get to try out the commentator tracks in this beta as well. So actually, you got the pull up Tasty Steve and some folks on commentary during matches, and you can just have them commentating, while you're playing on ranked matches or unranked or in training room or whatever. So when me and TJ were rocking it out, like I got to turn on the commentating, and it's pretty good. It makes you feel like you're like in a legitimate match, and I think it also makes it really interesting for people who might be watching a stream, stuff like that. Where sometimes I feel like as a streamer or content creator, there are moments where I'm in the middle of a game, or intense match, and I go into focus mode, and I'm not really as chatty as I normally would be when things are hitting the fan. But now with this commentary track option available, you got something filling that dead air while you're doing your thing. You can also choose between having one commentator or having two, and then having them kind of bounce off each other. So it lets you choose color commentary and straight man, basically. So you can choose one of each, and you can have it set up that way. So if you prefer, like James Shen on, one end, just giving the straight man stuff, and you want Tasty Steve on color commentary, you can do it that way. They had some of the Japanese commentators in the mix as well. So that kind of stuff is what makes me think that this is going to be a top-notch, premier fighting game, because they're putting in all of the extra for those kind of, features, day one.
I like that. Me personally, I need sheer chaos on commentary, so I need Yipes and Pai Lee Chung, and I'm gonna need and I know he doesn't even do Street Fighter like that, but I'm gonna need some Avoid the Puddle. All right, I need the opponents to let their get their ass beat, and there's nothing you can do about it. I need like that DJ Babito Garcia, Cucumber Slice NBA Street commentary. Like, yo, bro, why would you even shoot that shot? You knew it wasn't gonna leave your hands properly, and now here you are. But no, all jokes aside, though, like it's good that James, and of course Vicious is in the game too. Big shout out to Vicious as well. That's like one of my like commentary siblings, and we started around the same time. And man, he has done some great things in the community. Holy fuck! But dude, I'm excited for Street Fighter. Me personally, I've always had a very strong stance against Street Fighter. One, because I fucking suck, but also two, like just my history with the game. My cousins are always better than me, so I'm like, I don't got 10 years of my life to get better than them at this damn game. So I just I played other stuff like Tekken, but I think this one here has all the right ingredients to bring somebody as free as me, or somebody as competitively tapped in as a Justin Wong or something, back into the fray. Not to say Justin ever left, but or even Yipes. I was talking to him. He said he's back in bracket. We were talking over dinner. He said, "Look, man, everybody's asking me if I'm going to get back in bracket, if I'm going to do the damn thing. I'm gonna join bracket." I was in bracket for like a good chunk of 5, like in the beginning and in the middle. He also was very good at 4, and pretty much everything that he does. And honestly, you get enough high-profile people saying shit like that on Twitter, that's going to do numbers. It's like, okay, cool. Yipes, the coolest commentator in fighting games, likes this. I'm in. Okay, James Chen, the industry standard for fighting game commentary. He likes it. I'm in. Vicious is in the game. Tasty Steve, like everybody's in it. I'm sold. So I like kudos to Capcom. Kudos to them laying the foundation for this next Renaissance period, because After they set the bar, every game that comes out after that has to be like, okay, we got to do it. We got to do it on Street Fighter's level, or we got to go the fuck home.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like once they hit the standard, it's kind of up to the other games to kind of move up to that level. You know, will we see commentary for Tekken now after having this kind of thing? You know, do they even have what it takes to have that built into their game right now with plans they had for Tekken 8? You know, that kind of stuff becomes a bigger factor when you see Capcom and Street Fighter potentially knocking it out of the park with some of this stuff between
Mm.
crossplay, the network setting and options. There's so many things here that, like, for example, when you're spectating or when you're playing on matches against other opponents online, you can set your stage to be a different stage than what's chosen. So instead of it being like you guys are playing on the same stage, you'll get a different stage based off of what you chose online on your viewer end than they do now. And the spectator can choose a different stage as well. So say if you're recording content, you know, and you want it recorded on a certain stage, but the players are playing on a different stage and you want it to, you can actually choose the stage that you want to watch it on, and play it back on now. So there's just more of an attention to detail paid to presentation that I think is going to really come through on the esports side, both in person but also in online situations.
Mm.
Because you know, while we hope there's not going to be any other, you know, major pandemic situations going down, this game seems like it's built for obviously taking off in person, but being legitimate when it comes to offline online events as well. What
Yeah.
people might be able to do over stream.
Well, and to your point about that too, I think, in any genre of work, there are a lot of competitors or a lot of people who are doing similar things, but there's always one company that is the template, is the foundational piece that everybody kind of emulates from. At that, there's like there's always the Earth Prime, and then everything else is kind of like a variant of it. Um, I think Street Fighter as a company has kind of hit this point where like, okay, and I'm saying this like as respectfully as possible, but like we're no longer coasting off of the brand. Like, and now it's not even enough to add cool characters, new innovative characters. I mean, Street Fighter has always done that because half of their, Street Fighter is Street Fighter, then of course from Final Fight, right? So I mean, they've already been thinking with that type of thinking, like we need to open up the door for innovation. Like, how many different ways can we tell these stories? How many universes can we pull from? And with, Ryu has fought pretty much every goddamn body, literally. Like, I think the only people left are probably you and I, Denny. So he's pretty much fought everybody. So I'm looking at it like, well, okay, I think now it's time for a reset. We've done 5 standalone titles, and of course the Marvel vs. Capcom's count as well. But we've done 5 standalone titles of, here's the game, here's the new characters, here's some of the new modes. The online is getting better, here's the tournaments, the prize pools are getting better. But it's like, yeah, that's cool. But Street Fighter legacy wise is not far removed from the next generation of the average gamer. But it's like, hey, there's a whole new generation of kids that if they don't look hard enough on the internet, if they don't interact hard enough, they're going to miss out on all the greatness that you've laid down. Just because the internet and gaming is just, what have you done for me lately? As opposed to, let me do a deep dive. And so I think Street Fighter has done this like, okay, cool, new modes, online is getting better. Here's the beta test. Here's cool characters. Here's new designs. Like you said, we can change the stages. That helps creating content. Content, speaks very well to a certain generation of gamers. So, dude, Street Fighter, I mean, the people out there can say what they want about Street Fighter as a company, Capcom as a organization, but I think Street Fighter 6 is going to be the best thing for fighting games in a very long time. And I know we actually just had the boys on the show, and we talked about like Project L and multiverses, and I remember they were like, "Yo, multiverses is going to And as we've seen now, we don't even have any standalone tournaments for the game. Game's still doing well online, but we can't meet up and play. Street Fighter is like, we see that,
Yeah.
we see what y'all doing, and we're gonna get in person and run these games. And we also gonna have a good online as well. Am I wrong, Denny?
Well, I mean that's. I mean, people can say what they want, but the truth is that when it comes to the fighters, I feel like Street Fighter leads the charge in direction. You look at Street Fighter Five, and then look at Mortal Kombat 11, and how that game clearly was influenced by Street Fighter as far as the direction they decided to go with it.
Yep.
You know, focusing on footsies and all that other stuff. And the same goes with just how the industry works because, you know, not to say that fighting games are necessarily risky because obviously Mortal Kombat sold like hotcakes. There was millions of copies. But at the same time, for some folks, that might be a bigger risk when it comes to making some of these decisions or you know, building into something that's bigger. Even when you look at, you know, Guilty Gear, Strive, which is successful as it is, uh, the lobby system here is miles above whatever they were trying to do on Strive. And similar with like Dragon Ball Fighters, you know, and stuff like that, where you got these little chibi characters running around. This seems way more built into fleshing this out in a way that there is a chance that there's you're going to be younger players that kind of get into it just based off of, you know, having an opportunity to do stuff like you know, your avatars are going to go around in different places and, you know, talk
Yep.
to each other or meet up in the server and hang out and stuff like that. Like that's a big factor that people can't
Yep.
like really sleep on. So I'm glad to see it.
I am too, man. Street Fighter is back where it needs to be. Like there's even some times, and I know we got to wrap on this pretty soon, but there's even some times where like at these last couple Evos where I'm just like, does Street Fighter really deserve to be the final game at Combo Breaker, CEO, Evo, boom, boom, boom. Well, friends, rest assured when 6 drops, like you'll never have to ask that question ever. Like they are, I mean, you could maybe make the argument between like them and Tekken, but for the most part, like Street Fighter is always going to close out Finals Day at your favorite fighting game tournament because Street Fighter is back to where it needs to be, and we can feel that through a beta test. Beta test, no money on the line, just community, sheer love, sheer admiration for the series. People playing the game are like, "Yo, this game is where we need to be." With only half the characters and half the game pretty much available, like that's saying
Yeah.
a lot, y'all. I'm ready. I'm ready, Denny. You gonna have to teach me some Street Fighter here pretty soon. I'm sold, man.
I mean, I think there's definitely going to be an opportunity to get into this one. I do think that like people worry too much about sometimes there being like comeback mechanics or some opportunity
Mm,
for you know, gameplay mechanics that will make it easier for newer players to kind of get in the groove of things. But with some of the combo stuff I'm seeing, clearly there's still going to be, regardless of skill gap, you're still going to have the opportunity to take care of characters that are players that might be able to use some of these mechanics or a simpler button input or whatever. It's not going to be a big deal. The way people are
mm.
making it sound, where I feel like they're like, "Well, oh my gosh, so and so can hit a Hadouken a little bit easier, so you know, therefore they're going to be better at the game than they should be because you have to actually learn skill because blah 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 blah." And it's like, okay, man, like you think it's going to stop somebody from hitting a 65% combo on this new player because they can mash out DP faster? I don't think that's how it's going to go. Like when
That's not
people
gonna work.
are getting things down and stuff like that, it's just not going to happen that way. Just based off of and plus with the way that they have set up some of the defensive mechanics, like stuff like parrying. Regardless if you think someone's spamming, you know, fireballs or something like that, you know, people will be able to, you know, parry and then, you know, drive dash or whatever into an uppercut. The people that are playing are going to have to adjust and learn accordingly to stop doing that kind of stuff, or they're gonna continue to, you know, get blown up every time, which is that's what happens in fighters in general.
Yep.
But I just wanted to put this last thing on the screen because you know, I saw this post from Ryan Hart the other day,
Oh yeah, let's see
and
it.
and I mean the meme is strong, but this is pretty much when it comes to people complaining about Street Fighter in general, this is pretty much how it's gone. And someone like Ryan Hart would know, knowing how long he's been in the game. But yes, you know, literally every Street Fighter after week one of release, people are going to complain, and there's going to be people that are like, the old game was better, the game that came before was better, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just how it's always going to be. So, newsflash, people, the other games aren't going anywhere. You can still play them. If Street Fighter
You really
Six
think
for
people
some
are going to
reason
say
doesn't,
5 was better than 6? Like going back
there's already
in
people
the
saying
bottom.
that. There's people that were saying that after playing the beta. Now,
Wow.
I'm not saying that there were, you know, people that I would be taking opinions on, but yes, there were folks that were saying that they enjoyed 5 compared to what they saw in the beta, and everything else that Capcom is doing here is a cash grab. You're adding these other modes that no one asked for, and who cares about all the presentation? The game just needs to include my favorite character, and et cetera, et cetera. And you can get those kind of people, but ultimately, you care about the folks who are actually spending the money to buy the game, and what their opinion is of said game, and what the competitive scene thinks of the game. And that's where we're kind of at right now. Which, thankfully we're getting feedback and folks are getting those kind of conversations going. And, you see folks like Maximilian who are really happy with, how things feel and just the characters and creativity there. Because I used to remember I'd watch Maximilian just so upset about Ken in Street Fighter V to the point that he just would not play the character anymore. And it seems like he's extremely satisfied with Ken in this game so far. So somebody was listening in comparison. But yeah, I think that kind of open dialogue and communication is the most important thing. Obviously, you don't want too much feedback where nothing's really coming out clean or clear. But having this kind of dialogue and discourse happening back and forth so early on in the game's process is a good sign in comparison to some of the stuff we might have seen before. Where if you look at NetherRealm, for example, there's been no communication about either future games or current game. As someone that was playing Mortal Kombat 11, once the last update and DLC dropped, you didn't hear anything. From community side, community management, and the competitive scene. So sometimes I think that there has to be more of that happening beyond just the major big points of your game dropping. This game, they clearly plan on having a long run. We're talking about this game, 4 or 5, 6 years from now, being something that's still holding up between Ultimate, Ultra, Super Combo editions or whatever, where it just keeps getting better.
Dude, I'm definitely here for it. I mean, again, the beta feels better than most actually finished games. This next one, I think we can, attest to it. This next one, of course, is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This next little topic here, there was a tournament. Strangely enough, Denny, you might think I'm a liar, right? You're going to think I'm fucking blowing smoke up your ass. You're going to be like, there's no way this is true. But we had 2 tournaments on the same day. Neither one of them on either tour.
Incredible.
Bro, listen, I had to look twice.
That sounds impressive. That I mean, you guys you have a scene going on there. I don't know who's showing up to said non-tour tournaments at this point, or who's watching. Because I feel like there's just no downtime at all. Like if I knew about the tournament that you went to, obviously, but the fact that there's multiple running down at the same time, I feel like if I had saw that going down on Twitch, I would have just been like,
bruh,
why are we doing more events here? But tell me, were they at least hyped? Was there at least some hype there that warranted these tourneys existing at the same time?
Well, I'm glad we brought this up because just to rewind a little bit, we were off for a week because, ta-da, I fucked it up. But there was something that Austin brought to our attention, and it was this tweet from The Buzz. Now, The Buzz brought this up during the Big House, which also ran the same weekend as First Attack in Puerto Rico. Big shout out to the boys over in the Midwest for putting on a good show. Gonna DQ from singles today. Been unable to escape this feeling of burnout. Or is it boredom, ? From Smash/tournament still, so I'm just going to enjoy spectating this weekend. Right now, I'm focusing on Ludwig's Invitational, Smash World Tour Finals, and Panda Cup tournaments for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it begins, friends. I mean, we've heard the ramblings of it. You, me, Austin, we've been around in gaming long enough to know that if a schedule doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense to the players, nothing good is going to come of it. But this last weekend, we got 2 tournaments. First of all, big shout out to the French-speaking portion of the community because we had a tournament that happened over in France. called, and Lord forgive me for my French, Le Odyssey Chant 1, which means the Odyssey Song 1.
I mean, it sounds
Don't
correct, so we'll go with it.
We'll go with it. You know what? Ebonics, they got me, okay? And then the other one was called Battle of Z, which happened over in Montreal. So for somebody like myself, I'm like, this is going to be cool because this is a break from the norm. This isn't on either circuit, either tour, no narrative to play into those. So, I mean, not to say there's anything wrong with tournament circuit narratives, but it's just nice to have a tournament just to exist as a regular tournament. The Odyssey was a tournament held on October 15th through 16th, 2022 in Paris, France. Fully entitled Le Odyssey Chant 1, French for the Odyssey Song 1. It is intended to be the first tournament of the Le Odyssey circuit. Surprise, there's another circuit happening though. Oops. A 16-player invitational major event. It featured top-level talent from Europe, Japan, the United States. Japanese player T took first place, becoming the first person from Asia and third person after France's Glutini and Mexico's MK Leo to have won 2 majors in Europe. So this one was a bit more of an invitational style thing anyway, but referring back to my interview with Light, some of those invitationals are more intense than your average bracket because I'm playing top 20 killers back to back to back, as opposed to, okay, here's Randy Bobandy, here's, I don't know, huge erection, like all the whack guys and pools that you got to beat. And then you got to play the real killers. Like, okay, now it's top 32. Now I got to play Denny. Okay, now it's top 8. I got to play, whoever. So first place was T, running Pac-Man and Kazuya Mishima, sponsored by Team Zeta Division, defeating American beloved player Cosmos, sponsored by Beast Coast Gaming, who ran a combination of Pyra and Mithra / Corrin. If I'm not mistaken, this was a 6-0, which reinforces my statement that Cosmos is one of the scariest players in the room, given the right day, but who could also, and I'm saying this very respectfully because you don't get second place and bust her out. But I think sometimes Cosmos can take an ass beating, but he can also, in that same turn of breath, give one out. I just hate that his ass beatings are always like, when he takes them. But this one happened to be one of those. Mute Ace coming in from Florida, got third place, and Passeriman, coming from Japan, good Lord, this sinus infection is beating my ass, got fourth place. Just to talk about some of the rest of the attendees really quick, the VCA champion winner that we talked about at the beginning of October / end of September, Bloom Forever, running Bayonetta and Me Brawler, got 5th. Got from Japan running Nest got 6th. Mr. R, a name that I haven't seen in bracket in a very long time, at least not at a tournament of this level, pulled back up and ended up getting 9th place, going all sheep. Still proving that character has some staying power in this current meta. Siske, another one of my favorite players coming through, ran Dark Samus. And of course, everybody's favorite Captain Falcon in 12th place, getting a fatality, sponsored by Furia Esports, and did his damn thing. Now, oddly enough, there is this narrative that, players from Europe sometimes struggle at their own tournaments. Glutoni, top 3 player in the world, best Wario to ever do it, got 13th place at his own tournament. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. This was an invitational, which means that this ain't just a regular bracket. I'm playing against killers the whole weekend. Yeah. Also, invitationals usually bring a lot of quirky and one-off characters. I'll use those words. I'm trying to be nice here. I'm not going to use my actual FGC language. Quirky and one-off characters. We had some Olimar. We had a little bit of Ryu, some Sheik, Dark Samus, Bayonetta and Me Brawler. We had some Sonic and some Robin. So we had a lot of characters all over the competitive spectrum. I'm sure we won't see this type of placement twice, but it is something. Good Lord, I can't even speak. It is certainly something to look at. I like the fact that we had an invitational. I would like to see more of these and not just coming at the expense of, okay, we got one free weekend, just run it. No, you know what? Give me more invitationals. Fuck it. Not everything needs to be on a tour. Not everything needs to be on a circuit. Invitationals have existed long before the idea, the concept of a circuit. Let's just have players pull up, vote in your favorite players, and have them throw the fuck down. And exactly what we've seen here. So I want to say quick, big shout out to T. Again, running Pac-Man and Kazuya Mishima. I hate Pac-Man, and I don't like Kazuya in Smash. But I do like Kazuya because he is from Tekken, so I have to vote for T somewhat. This second tournament, though, this one here is called the Battle of Z. Now, I think I linked this one, and if I did, I'm going to click it any damn way. Okay, here it is. Battle of Z 2022. So, this event happened over in Canada. Now, Danny, you follow fighting games just as much as I do. DreamHack exists pretty much everywhere in the world. But we haven't had a DreamHack Montreal in a long time, which means I haven't had a chance to go back over there and eat all the shawarma and poutine that they have to offer. Battle of Z, however, reinforces the idea that this portion of Canada can throw down. I think people sometimes forget that, yes, Vancouver is Vancouver, Toronto is equally as scary, but we can throw down over here in Quebec. So, looks like in terms of players, notable players, we had Hungrybox as the most notable player coming through for Melee. Hungrybox is probably going to be the most notable player in most rooms. But for Ultimate, we had Chag, the Ultimate Tropical Arena Cuba champion, beating MK Leo, for those who forgot. We have Black Twins coming through from Ontario. I think Soar is from Quebec. Big shout out to Soar. We actually had Soar's sister on the show, Supergirl Kells, about a year ago. So big shout out to Soar. Running Minecraft Steve and Meta Knight. We have Lagrimas running Game & Watch. As if the community needs any more of those. Lagrimas said, I got you, fam. So, now, all jokes aside, big shout out to Lagrimas and pretty much everybody that showed up to this event as well. One of my personal favorites since I played Link, Izal showed up, who got 17th place. So, big shout out to Izal as well. Melee was won by Hungrybox, of course. And singles was won by Chag. Of course, Chag, probably the most dominant player in that bracket for singles. Lagrimas and Black Twins 1-2v2. So, not exactly sure what the pop bonus was for this, if one even did exist, but big shout out to Z. I know it's not easy being a TO, especially with how big Canada is. Canada is a big fucking area, and, you know, to be basically the one in charge of everything going on in Quebec, for the most part, Smash-wise, at least at this level of play, I know that meant a lot. And they were able to actually get this on the VG Bootcamp channel, too. So big shout out to Gimmer and Apostle for streaming this wonderful event and bringing it out to the masses. Again, a tournament that, surprisingly enough, did not exist on the Smash World Tour, but was able to still be regarded with some sort of level of prestige. Who would have thought, Denny? Tournaments can't exist without circuits and tours and ham sandwich pop bonuses. They can't exist without that. But
yeah, I mean, you got a good point there. You know, you kind of won me over a little bit on. Obviously, there can be other events that run and stuff like that, but I do feel like the invitationals is a good idea if the right sponsors involved. If there's actually, you know, enough money going around that these people are getting paid, that you're going to get the highest competition showing up. I would much rather prefer that type of situation where there's just, you know, back-to-back bangers compared to 3 days of an event for folks to get through pools just for maybe kind of sort of some of the folks you want to see showing up.
Yeah.
In comparison. So, yeah, I think you have a good point there about invitationals and whether those are actually worth watching in comparison to some of this other stuff that we're getting every other week, it seems like, from the two tours involved currently. So,
yep. Now, really quick, I don't want anybody like who just tuned in to think that Denny and I hate circuits or tours. That's not true. Everybody loves a good story being told in fighting games. That's pretty much why fighting games are where they're at today, is because there's some sort of story attached. But there's just too many damn tournaments, okay? I can say that. I can say there's too many tournaments. The circuits, everything is just too much. And if anybody wants to argue with me about that, then I'm going to send my boss after you. I'm not going to show up for the argument. I'm going to send Asif after you, somebody with nothing to lose who can rip you a new one verbally way better than I ever could. Okay? Now,
I was ready to take focus on you. He's going to get the FBI to come through, take you out of here.
That's right. Now, MK Leo, I wanted to touch on this here. We talked about the buzz, you know, not being able to pull up, you know, burnout, the big house. I get it. I'm going to be real. I love the big house. It's my first major I ever went to as a Midwesterner, like Combo Breaker. I hold it close to my heart. But as a player, you're playing for prestige, really. There's not really a lot of money to be made. I think this year they had a bit more of a pop bonus because there was more attendees, but for the most part, you're playing for prestige, which is it's a very Midwestern thing. And I get it. You know, money is hard to come by in this community. Yeah. And then of course we talked about Spargo at the beginning of the year. Wow, I had a brain fart. We talked about Spargo at the beginning of the year, taking his mental health into consideration. This young man is half my age. I'm going to be 30. I think he's a fresh 16, 17, maybe. It was like, my brain is just not braining, and I don't feel good, and I am going to take a big break from the game. And Spargo, kudos to you. MKLeo now finally stepping into the ring. He's like, hey, look, I don't feel fucking good neither. So it's time for me to big chill. So MKLeo tweeted out this. He was supposed to go to Battle of Z, which would have been nice. He says, very sad to say this, but I ran into some health problems. I've always suffered with my ears. Now it got to the point where I can't hear well, feeling like I lost some of my hearing capacity, and it also hurts. Now, I'm going through a sinus infection right now, and I also do a lot of flying. I have issues with my ears at times, too. I do a lot of, like, holding my nose and blowing, but because I have a head full of snot right now, I can't fucking do that, and so it's driving me crazy. My face on the inside feels like, remember Hitch, Denny? Remember when Will Smith got sick in the grocery store? Like, that's what the inside of my head feels like right now.
Well, that's not good.
It's not good. And so I went to the doctor yesterday. Recommendations are not to take a plane until we know what's happening. Got to make some studies and take medicine for a week and see what happens. Worst scenario will be me having less hearing capacity for life. That's fucking fucked up. Well, this week I was going to attend the Battle of Z in Montreal. I unfortunately cannot take the plane to go to the event. I want to apologize to Z and the entire Canadian community that made this event possible. The least I can do is ask you to support this event. I know the effort behind this, so please do. Sorry to all those who wanted to see me there. I'm still not 100% sure if I can go to Ludwig's Invitational next weekend. All I can do is rest and take care of myself. Only time will tell. Now, of course, it goes on to talk about other things too, but we got the basis of, you know, the thing. And friends, when you have issues with your ear, it's called barrel trauma. I would know because when I first started flying, that shit fucked me up. As a Midwesterner, my last choice was to fly anywhere. I'm like, nah, we'll just drive it. I said, bro, this event's in Japan. We will drive it and figure it the hell out. We'll magic school bus this shit if we have to. But after you fly more, human beings being the naturally resilient people that we are, sometimes you build up a natural defense to things. What used to bother my ears back in 2017 doesn't bother my ears anymore in 2022. That could also mean that I need to go to the doctor and see if where my hearing is at because I fly so much. But the point that I'm making is that if anybody flies more than the top commentators in this community, they are the top players. MKLeo and these guys. And if he's flying so much, and the cat suffers from this as well, if they're flying so much that their goddamn ears don't work, that's a sign that we have too many goddamn tournaments and that we need to calm it down. All right. MKLeo's already been on his World Warrior arc anyway, flying to new time zones, new parts of the world, new parts of the country, whatever. Love that for him. But Leo, if you're listening to this, you got to take your health into consideration. I'm so happy that you put out this tweet longer. You did what was, you know, everything in your power to do. You put out a tweet longer. You let the world know, like, hey, I'm not feeling well. He's flying a little bit too much and it's bothering him. Kudos to you, young man. Now, just to wrap up this Battle of Z tournament, over on Melee, we had Hungry Box took it over Lunar Dusk, who plays Ice Climbers. I believe it's Tokage, ran Marth, Theb ran Falco, JoJo ran Young Link. Shout out to him. Big Fish ran Falco, and Big Boy Marky ran Falco as well. So a lot of birds being the words happening up there in the Great White North. So big shout out to them as well. Also, another quick shout out to Supergirl, Kels, and Soar. I'm a firm believer that there is no stronger team synergy in gaming, period, than the synergy you would build with your siblings. Supergirl, Kels, and Soar, shout out to you. I seen Kels just actually had a new announcement. I believe she's working with Northern Arena. Love the team up there. Keep doing your thing, girl. You're fucking awesome. Soar, keep doing your thing, too. I want to get Soar on retail therapy as well, too. Want to talk to him about Pokemon cards. But that's a story for another day. But yes.
No, I mean, try and make it happen.
We gonna make it happen, Denny. If nobody else gonna make it happen, you already know you and I gonna make it happen. We gonna try to get all these people on here to come goon out with us and Blake and Greg and everybody because we're just big old nerds. That's all. We just want to nerd out with new people. That's all. So anyway, that concludes that. That's our Smash Corner talk for the week. Now we got another segment, Denny, that we wanted to show the world today. Terrible Twitter takes. This is technically our second go around, our first official one, but we did do a beta one before that went over really well. We did it with 2K. This one here is about Apex Legends. And yeah, it just wasn't a good day on Twitter. But then again, Denny, is any day a good day on Twitter? Is any day really a good day on?
There's been some rough ones the past couple of days, but every once in a while, there's a decent day on Twitter. Some cute puppies or something,
True. That's true.
But lately, no. It's been
there's nothing
a trash fire.
Between Kanye and then Elon Musk, dancing around purchasing Twitter, then Twitter saying, we don't like you today, and then Elon Musk saying, well, I don't like you ever, and everything else going wrong in the world. There are some good things to happen to the internet, like Shaq Pets, by the way, friends. Be sure to give that a download. But this isn't about good things happening on Twitter. No, this is about shitty things happening on Twitter. Now, Apex announced their first trans character. Surprise. I know we covered a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. Apex and other companies are taking that initial steps forward, in the right direction about inclusivity, representation, and all those wonderful words that we love on Twitter, okay? The basis is to get different people in these fucking games because different people play video games outside of what we see these characters look like. Well, Denny, believe it or not, and hear me out, this is going to be crazy, right? Hear me out. Some people on Twitter didn't like the fact there's a trans character in fucking Apex. Can you believe that?
No, I'm totally shocked that people would totally be upset about the gender of a fictional character. It is so surprising to me currently, considering how terrible the internet is. But there is a new update coming to Apex Legends, which I guess we should mention as well, on November 1st, which I believe is a Tuesday. So right after Halloween, you'll be able to enjoy some new Apex Legends content. And I'm sure that that will also trickle down to the competitive scene as well.
Yes.
From what I heard, Callus is like a defensive character or some kind of like magic control over like different fluids and stuff like that. So should be interesting to see gameplay down the line as well at some point.
I agree. Now, Catalyst, this is a bad bitch. Okay, I'm just gonna call her for what it is. She looks great. The weaponry looks amazing. She's going to get the job done. And hopefully, if she's a good character, she can carry me to victory because I'm free with a capital F, okay? And a capital R-N-E-E, okay? Like, I am free. But this isn't about how great the character looks or the character design. This is about the terrible Twitter takes attached to this announcement. Say that 5 times fast. The first one comes from... Edward Smith at Design Grits. That's actually a pretty cool Twitter handle, Design Grits. Their response was, and I quote, "Go woke, go broke. Please out Apex. It's been fun, ... but I'm done." Can you believe it? We lost Design Grits. What are we going to do, Denny? We lost Design Grits.
Clearly, the world's going to the end, but I think that most likely what's going to happen is we're going to continue to play the game.
True.
But
it's true.
I also feel like it's very funny that someone with like a child in their profile picture is like, I am done I'm done playing this game now. So basically, they're just showing that they're also a child.
It's crazy that people just don't want to grow. Now, I'm not saying that, look, if you feel a type of way about something, it's best to just keep it to yourself. The internet sometimes is not a dumping ground for stuff like this. I hold myself accountable. Like, the strapping young man that you see today wasn't always this person, okay? I'm a millennial. There was a time where I grew up and we were just saying whatever the fuck we wanted to say and do whatever the fuck you want to do. But then you spend some time in the real world you get some skin in the game, and you personally go through some things, and you realize early on, damn, if I'm going through this, there are other people who have it 10 times as worse as me. Now, I don't want this to be a matter of like who's more, held back in society. What it really should be is that we should all help each other and build each other up. Okay, I'm going through things that a trans person is not going through, but at the end of the day, we're both being oppressed by very similar entities. Let's work with each other and be better. But Edward Smith here is like, actually, I just don't want to play with Apex anymore. I'm gone. I'm done. And Mr. Design Grits, I guess, you've had it up to here. Now, this next one here comes from our good friend Brady. And I'm saying good friends, but we're actually not friends. We don't know Brady. They go on to say, and they try to get a little intellectual with this. They try to, imagine if all the resources and money from the lore department went into fixing the game instead of writing stories nobody cares about. I'm saying it one more time for the people in the back. Imagine if all the resources and money. So as I'm reading this, they caught me. I was like, okay, they might be on to something. Imagine if all the resources and money from the lore department, I'm like, okay, where we going? Went into fixing the game, okay, instead of writing stories nobody cares about. Cue the sad music. I'm like,
Nope, stop talking, go to jail.
That's how I feel about that. All right, the people seem to not understand. It's really wild to me when you think about it because Overwatch 2 has come back recently. And Overwatch is a thing now again. But Apex has been consistently putting out new characters and providing both lore and other information about them at the same time and succeeding at it. People care about the characters when they have more information about the characters. When you're adding in more story and options that make people care about those characters in a way that makes them want to keep playing, that's a pretty big deal. Epic is huge. So obviously, whatever problems that you think the game needs to be fixed about, that's kind of also what's addressed in an update, which is part of what this character is going to be coming from. A major update. So, pretty sure that's already accounted for, my friend.
You know what's funny? Is I remember cartoons from when we were kids. Like, there's always like an episode where like the female protagonist wakes up as a boy or that the boy wakes up as a girl and it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm the other gender today. And it's just like, okay, cool. I don't remember any complaints back then on a TV show, a recurring TV show that's going to happen over and over and over again every so many episodes. But you add a trans character into the game who, I don't know if I read this properly, but the lore is not that like, it's not what they typically think a trans person is going to go through. I mean, of course, they are a character that has transition, but it was done differently in the lore of Apex. So I'm like, what is the issue here, friends? Like, who cares? Like, everybody plays games now. Black people, white people, trans people, non-binary people, all types of people play video games. Like, I actually will want to show people the statistics of the average type of person who buys games and show how probably lopsided it is out of the favor of most people complaining about this. Now, the next one comes from a person named Luke Hamey at Hermit in a Hole. Oh, so Hermit in a Hole, excuse me. Hermit in a Hole. Now, this isn't a hot take from them. Apex Legends introduces their first officially trans character, and the gaming community responds exactly how you'd expect. Okay, so actually, they're on side of history. The screenshots are, and I believe this looks like it's from, I think this is Reddit. Is this Reddit? I'm sorry, this is too much. Apex died today and it was going so well. And going by the comments on the YouTube live stream, I am not the only one who thinks that. 25_M_CA, California, not sure. Real world, minus 7% of the population is LGBTQ. Apex, 100% of the population is LGBTQ. Not sure where they got those numbers from, but
those are some pretty wrong stats there.
yes,
clearly off on their math, but sure.
Yeah. The next one, Thomas GG1. I'd rather just fix the game, to be honest, instead of worrying about a character's gender or sexuality. Wanting the game to be fixed is not a bad want, but it does not need to be put in the same sentence as, okay, we got a character that's representing people who aren't typically represented in gaming. Like, you can want both of those things, but you don't need to say one's more important than the other. But when you say shit like this, it makes me now feel like you don't even want the game to be fixed. You just don't want trans people in the game.
I feel like these people clearly don't understand how game development works, or that there's more than one department. They must think that there's just a Santa's workshop full of elves that are just working on the game mechanics and the bugs and such, and all of that's going in one place. There's not writers or folks who are out here who are doing different things. And the funny part to me is that this is all coming from a massive game that's also run by Epic Games. This isn't an indie title. This isn't something that is going to take another 6 months for the next update. This game is being updated constantly with fixes and other things. So clearly, we got some folks here, which is why they're averaging 2 likes per comment. You don't understand how game
talk your
development
shit,
works.
Denny.
But
Denny, talk your shit.
Is it surprising? No, because we get these kind of people all the time on any kind of. And I also think that it's very strange when people are saying things like worrying about a character's gender when the game and the PR and the marketing are simply presenting a character as existing in this universe. And somehow it's pushing an agenda or there's something else going on there. When really they're literally just introducing a new character and they just happen to be trans.
You know what? When I hear stuff like worrying about somebody's sexuality, it makes me wonder, or gender, it makes me wonder, what do you think the basis of video game characters are supposed to be? How do we add characters into a game without worrying about that type of stuff? Which means that you just want all dudes in the game, or maybe you just want all women in the game, or women that they're more comfortable with looking at. I'll put it that way. But instead, it's like if I make a character trans, like Denny, we've never talked about this, but I like to write a lot of stories, right? I write comics, that type of stuff when I'm bored. I know you're a big comic fan. I've actually should have talked to you about this earlier. But when I'm creating characters, I'm thinking, okay, here's one piece of the character, here's the middle piece, and how do I branch off? So who knows? Maybe somebody behind the scenes was like, I just want to create a trans character. Maybe they were like, we had a lore, we had the story, and it just made more sense for them to be trans. Whatever the case may be, why does it matter? What does it take away that this character has different body parts than you? If you suck at this game, it doesn't matter who fucking killed you. You suck. And if you don't like trans characters and you just got your ass beat by a trans character, now you're double mad. You might come on and just be like, you know what? I'm okay with this. People exist.
I wonder how they're gonna feel if they get beat by trans players at that point. Because it's the same.
Lord.
But yeah, apparently, they also consulted for this. So on a more positive end, Epic, had consultants both within the community and within their own employee field. But also reached out to GLAAD and some other organizations as well to make sure they got the representation correct with this choice. So clearly there's a lot of thought and care being put behind this, but also that's across the board of their characters. And that's just part of building a good universe, a good world for these characters to live in. Obviously, when you have folks out here just saying stuff like, fix the game that they're playing for free, by the way.
Bingo.
A game that's been out how long now, and you still get the opportunity to play. The people are cranking out new content for it constantly. I think that gamers have to also keep in mind that there are people behind the things that are being worked on. It's not just magically appearing in your shop or in your queue to play. And that's a big factor when it comes to the way that games within the community are held as well. When you look at fighting games and everything else, we have people who are like, patch this, patch that. Even when you look at so people communicating about multiverses, since you had the Gremlins patch and stuff like that come out, or characters, and I feel like sometimes there's got to be opportunity for things to breathe, and also opportunity for people to breathe. There's still people behind these games. The grind is real, especially on new titles or something as big as Epic, which also has another pretty big game. I don't know if you've heard of it, called Fortnite. That's
True.
also available as well. So there's things like that where I think that there's definitely a big deal. But shout outs to Respawn and what they do over there. I feel like Respawn and folks are definitely big on being kind of reminds me of Bungie a little bit as far as like just being both really heavy on a communication with their teams and with the community, but also pushing the boundaries somewhat, or at least providing some different opportunities for different types of characters and voices in their game and space, which is
That's
pretty
right.
cool.
I'm a fan. I mean, we just seen Street Fighter 6 today. We did a bit of coverage on that, and it's like, dang, that's really awesome. We got, a black character, and she's available in the beta, and she's actually good, and like, it's not weird. And not only is she African American, not only is she black, she's darker skinned too, which is big because people's argument will always be, well, there's black characters in the game, yeah, but they're, and I mean this as respectfully as possible. So they're lighter complected, and in the world of black people, that is very comfortable for our oppressors and people who don't want to see black people thrive. We have darker skinned black people in the game, not just Balrog, but now we have a woman. This opens up the door for creativity. Now for this last screenshot, you might like this one, Denny. Denny, this one should get a kick out of you. NRG Baby Nikki at IRL Baby Nikki. If you are angry about EA showing representation for the trans community by making a transgender character, you are probably transphobic. Shut up and let people enjoy things. Thank you at Play Apex for always having love for different communities. Twitch_Trash Panda at AckersXL says, or we just want something that leaves out all the political BS so we can enjoy a game. So people want to be able to escape the sick world we live in and not relive it in a video game. Is it so hard to just make a game? I know. Is it so hard just to make a game and not have any political BS in it? Since when has being transgendered or black or anything, since when has that been political?
That was quite the take there,
That was a take. He took it all.
That was, I'm just gonna have to hit that real quick, all right? Because clearly the sick world we live in, where people are playing games like Call of Duty or any of these games that require you to shoot the hell out of people competitively, this is what you're trying to escape to? I'm a bit confused about. So, gay and trans people are part of that sick world, but the shooting and massacring people was fine. I
Yep.
see. There's clearly a line there that is being crossed and makes this person very upset in a way that, yeah, I think if they're not part of the community, that's totally fine.
What do we know, Denny? What do we know?
I'm sure EA is going to care about this person's opinion while pushing out this update. I'm sure they're going to get rid of this character because somebody thinks that it's going to take their enjoyment out of the game. A character that they could have played with or used, and if someone had never mentioned them being trans, would have no impact or effect on the gameplay.
Yep. But what do we know? All we know is that apparently the voice of reason here is AckersXL. Now I'm just going to go to his Twitter account really quick. AckersXL, 26 following, 51 followers. Is a Twitch affiliate somehow, though. So good job on Twitch for letting this guy use their platform. Wow. What a time to be alive, friends. And that concludes terrible Twitter takes. But with that one in the bed, we got to talk about our esports rundown. It's a smaller rundown today, but it is a rundown nonetheless. Shall we, Denny?
Yeah, we got a couple of things to touch on, which I'm sure will be a better experience than apparently some folks playing a free game. But it's all good though. We're gonna get into it. But yeah, let's dive in.
let's dive in on it. So for our first one here, I'm just gonna come out and say it, okay? My personal industry crush right now, and it's actually been this way for a while, is Avali May. Right. I think Avali is very dope. Creatively rivaled by few. Gets shit done in this community. Of course, broadcast skills out this world. Was previously on G4 TV, who I believe she left before it went under. So rest in peace to G4. I hope everybody who was working on the back end of that, finds jobs in this community because, as we know, Denny, it ain't easy to find consistent paying gaming. Now, they just released a song with Evil Geniuses. Avali May, NLJ, and Captain Flowers released the Evil Geniuses anthem called World. Now, I don't know if we're actually able to play it on stream because of copyrights and stuff, but friends, this video is fucking badass. Cinematically shot.
A parody of Megan Thee Stallion song, so it might be okay to play a little bit. We can probably play a snippet.
You know what? I'm gonna watch it on mute. Not because the scenery is nice, but because I don't want to get the stream nude. That's why, friends. Get your head out the gutter. This is a beautiful piece of work. Wow. I mean, who would even think to do something like this? Oh, wait, that's right. People with an actual creative brain. You see, the issue with esports, Denny, and you know this, is that there's money, there's people with money, but there's people with bad ideas. And that's why the world is fucked up the way it is. It's fucked up because there are people with bad ideas and a lot of money, and people with good ideas are poor. And some of the good ideas aren't even all that great ideas. We're just like, hey, we would just like sustainable healthcare and water and food. No, people with money are like, those are bad ideas. Same could be said for esports. It's like, okay, we got a bunch of money. World is coming up. It's time to farm some content, Denny. If I was in league, I'm farming content until I can't fucking farm simulator content anymore. Avali May and the whole team did this. And honestly, this is fucking cool. I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they put some serious time and effort into it. Also, I mean, maybe they're just feeling the vibe a bit. After you're seeing folks like Lil Nas X get involved. Maybe it was time to start pushing on some of that level for some more of this content. But
true.
People seem to be really enjoying it. I see it's over 100,000 views already on YouTube, so might have a bit of a banger on our hands here.
Now, mind you, friends, as well, because yes, Danny, you are right. This is a banger. This is not the first song for Worlds that Avali has been a part of. There's another song called Worlds Baby featuring Avali May, Roz, and you guessed it, Captain Flowers again. Now, I'm going to just link this one in the chat, friends, and you are free to do whatever you want with that. I'll put it in the Discord too. Why not? Or not the Discord, but the Google Doc. I'm just going to put it right. See? Boom. Paste without formatting, because why does Google Docs hate me? And I'm going to put this in here for everybody who wants to watch it later. This is the type of content that we need. We need this in gaming because this does what? This introduces the world to gaming in a comfortable way through different mediums. As it stands right now, most people still think that gaming is just a bunch of people pressing buttons. Ain't it just competitive Tetris? Ain't it just, didn't we do that in the 80s? Remember, didn't we do this Tetris, wasted all them quarters? No. Oh, isn't it just you wear just some comic book shop's t-shirt and they pay for your venue fee to go 0-3 at the weekly? No, that's not what that is. Okay, friends, what it is, gaming is a lifestyle, okay? And it can exist on multiple planes because all types of people, looking back at our Apex discussion, play video games. It can be introduced through music and streaming and content creation and all types of cool stuff. We need this type of content. Let me rephrase that. We need this type of thinking in gaming. We have Meg the Stallion, Denny, at TwitchCon. We're almost there. It's right. We're almost there.
Yeah, I just pulled up this video. Clearly, there's a lot to inspire you here. I mean, there's some quality action going on here, but yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have some fun. Also, EG, they've been known for being pretty creative in general. I see this one's Team Liquid, but yeah, no reason why not, except for like what the well, like. Thankfully, there's some good blurs there. We don't want to get banned. But yes, I think there's some room for some positive image. I mean, I personally haven't followed Worlds as much outside of a few things, but it seems like everyone's in pretty good spirits as far as the competitiveness of the tourney side. But also, there's been some quality, just community stuff. Some of these gaming communities, as we just saw, the Apex, tweets can be somewhat toxic. But there seems to be some folks who are definitely pushing for more positive input overall when it comes to just the some of the kind of content. And I'm hoping to see more of the creativity passing forward that involves more artists out there doing some fun stuff with the gameplay. And I think that some of the esports companies should probably hire folks to do some stuff like this too, just because there's a lot of creative people that love your games out there that would love to be part of something officially with some of these teams. So,
I agree.
Worlds making an impact with both the meme side and the competitive side. Why not?
You know what, Denny? Is there a round of applause button on your noise machine? You need to give yourself a round of applause for that take. Can we do that? Can we clap it up?
Sure, I can do that.
Here we go. Clap it up for that man.
I also got to give a round of applause for folks that follow us on social media, because we are right on the cusp of reaching a new milestone of 19,000 followers on Twitter. We're like less than 5 followers away. So, if anyone's lurking, hit that follow button and get us to that next goal. Appreciate it.
Let's get it, y'all. We need that, all right? We do great work over here at Shacknews, okay? We can't stress it enough. Denny and I tirelessly around the clock are messaging each other and calling each other, spewing ideas back and forth. Yo, what if we did it like this? What if we did it like that? And guess who it's all for? Not for us. It's for all you beautiful faces out there that are watching us do the thing here every week. So, yes, support us. That's all we can ask for. Shoot us a subscription if you'd like to. Sub to us on YouTube. We only got 2 channels that are over like 20,000 subscribers, but we could use your subscription as well. And of course, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. The social media game is just on lock right now. Denny has that shit done up a type of way that, you can't do anything really besides tip your hat to it. Go over to our Instagram, shoot us a follow at Shacknews Media. We're going to have way more content going up on there as we speak. So, as the young people like to say, fuck with us, okay?
Yeah, that's what you have.
We're great guys.
But yeah, I know you had some Pokemon in here as well.
Yes. Oh, so really quick about Worlds. I just wanted to touch on the fact that my 100 Thieves are no longer in Worlds. And, I'm not happy. But though, they went out in style because they are a fucking fly-ass team. That's a wrap, they tweeted. Hashtag Worlds 2022. To the fans, to our region, most importantly, to this team, thank you. We'll be back in no time. Now, if my memory serves me correct, 100 Thieves actually lost to RNG. So, unfortunate. It was for a quarterfinals contention. So, unfortunate as that is, they went out in style because, they are a team all about, as the kids also like to say, the aesthetic. Sidebar, I go to the cafe across the street a lot. And it's a cafe, so there's a lot of young people that work there, like much younger than me, like 18 to like 22. And I'm just standing out in the back waiting for my coffee. And I'm just staring out into the pond because the ducks are ducking right now. The squirrels are squirreling. It's getting cold. They're about to start doing different and weird shit. And as I'm staring out there, this kid comes out and says, "Oh my God, you just got like a whole aesthetic going on." I'm like, what? Like, yeah, like your aesthetic is dope. Like, it's just the thing. I'm like, kid, give me my coffee, okay? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? All right, what are you talking about? All right, and last but certainly not least, we all want to be the very best like no one ever was. Well, the only way to do that is to pay attention to Pokemon Salt Lake City Regional Championships for TGC, friends. This just happened last week, and they had a prize pool of $21,500. Started October 14th and went to October 16th. So your traditional 3-day long major event. Also, big shout out to my friends over at Gaming Gen. That is Ash and Alex. I believe that they were helping with setups and stuff there. They do really great work. Denny and I, we love Gaming Gen. Some of our favorite fighting game tournaments would not exist if it was not for them. Yeah. And also by that same logic, shout out to Rick from Combo Breaker. Yeah. 837 players, Denny. Quite a few players. Day 1 was a Swiss bracket. Day 2, single elimination. All matches are best of 3. I think a best of 5 TCG tournament would probably still be happening. It'd just be too fucking long. So I do like the best of 3 format. Our commentator / analyst, Adam Watson, Shelby Bow, Kyle Sablehouse, Chip Ritchie, and Dawson. So I follow some of these people on Twitter. Is Shelby Boo? Is that Frosted Caribou? That's not Frosted Caribou, is it? That actually might be her. Either way, first place goes to Hale Abernolti. Okay. They won $5,000. Okay. If you don't take away anything else from what I'm about to say, know that they made way more money than you. All right, you haters out there, than you did in a day. Won $5,000 over the course of 3 days. Got 200 points as well. Second place goes to James Steele. $2,500, 160 points. And then it looks like third place was tied. Nicholas Moffitt and Azul Garcia Grigio. Either way, won $1,500 and 130 points. So, needless to say, friends, there was some good old ass Pokemon TCG action that went down in Salt Lake City. Say what you want about Salt Lake. I know it's a land of a lot of strange people, and that's coming from somebody who grew up in Nebraska. But one thing they do know how to do, they know how to host some damn Pokemon events. So, big shout out to everybody who had a helping hand in this. Yeah. If there are also action. Yeah. And also, just really quick, my last thoughts on it. Friends on the inside, I do a show here called Retail Therapy every so many Wednesdays out the month, and I love collecting Pokemon cards. And I know that at some of these events, you guys do the special edition staff stamp Pokemon cards. Now, as a poor black man, I'm probably never going to be a staff member at Pokemon because you guys already got your people. But if you can just find it in your heart somewhere, just give me a staff card.
You gotta speak things into existence, you know?
Well, okay, I'm gonna speak into existence.
Always look on the brighter side. You know, you gotta shoot your shot. You know.
You know what? I'm shooting it. Pokemon, if you're listening to this, please hire me and Denny. Okay, I will come through and I'll fold hoodies. I'll fold Pokemon hoodies. I will iron Professor Oak's lab coat. I just need some staff stamp cards. I'm a collector. I'm not a reseller. I don't sell anything. I'm just your average millennial, like everybody else, hard carried by nostalgia, and I just want the things that I couldn't afford when I was a child.
Okay, well, Pokemon, you guys can hire Rod to do some work for you. I have not had a Pokemon card probably since the movie came out in 2001. But, all right. But at the same time, though, I do remember having those Pokeballs from Burger King. All right. One with like Mew and Mewtwo. Yeah, I had one of those.
Denny, do you want to be the very best like no one ever was, at least?
I mean, in some of these fighting games, sure. You know,
sure, okay, well awesome. Then boom. Bro, I feel like it's Keenan and Kel right now. It's like, all right, hear me out. Yeah, I need a squeegee, I need a rubber ducky, I need 3 tires, and I need a toaster. And we need to be there right now. And then I just walk off and Kel is like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I mean, basically. I'll tell you what's not the best thing that ever was. Some of these things in Sauce Dog.
Yeah, I wanted to gross you out today. Did it work?
I am very disturbed. All right, you know we're gonna have to play some special stuff for these. But which one do you want to tackle first?
You know what? Let's get the gross one out the way. Sauce Talk number 1. Well, I say gross one, but it's like literally bad versus worse. It's like the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there's no good. The first one is Eggo launches a new Eggo eggnog. Appellation Sip and Cream. Yes, you heard that right. And we will dive in on the basis of this. Now, When I bring up Eggo, the first thing my millennial brain does is goes, oh, buttery, flaky, crispy goodness. Saturday morning, I'm watching cartoons. I want to go into my freezer, throw these into the toaster, and devour these things. But no, we're actually getting eggnog, which I can't drink anymore at 30. Okay, Eggland's teamed up with Gatlinburg, Tennessee-based craft distillery, Sugarland's Distilling Company, for the creation of the brand's first ever Eggonog, a rich Eggonog liqueur for the 2022 holiday
Eggnog.
season, mon frere. Um, yeah, I just, you know,
I don't know if I like the idea of anything called sipping cream in general. I just don't think that's gonna work for me. But the idea of distilled Eggo does not does not quite do it for me. I think it's gonna be a big fat no from.
yeah.
Oh, hell no!
I think that's just not gonna work for me, guys.
Yeah, it's not going for me either. Now, I do think Eggo waffles go well with a lot of stuff. I am a fat dude on the inside of a skinny man. When I was a kid, I used to put Eggo waffles in my ice cream. I used to try to use Eggo waffles for a lot of things. Like, in fact, I'll just go ahead and tell on myself. When my parents would buy Eggo waffles, I was the one who ate the majority of them. I'm coming clean and I'm speaking my truth.
Wow.
What I don't want to do is drink Eggo nog, though. That just doesn't sound. If you know what it sounds like, it sounds like I'm drinking waffle batter. That's what my brain tells me.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that, but it's also like nutmeg, cinnamon, and rum. I don't want the combination of any of that together. Like, I don't want any of that.
No.
Like, there's plenty of better things I could be doing or buying, especially if I'm spending alcohol money. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a big fat pass on the eggnog. It's not gonna fly here. In fact, I think they should just go ahead and ban that from those stores.
Well, and you know what's funny? Our last episode, 2 weeks ago, we talked about TwitchCon and milk being the official drink. I can't imagine. Denny, you invite me over for the function. You're like, yo, this is Denny's extravaganza extraordinaire. Rod's pulling up. And I'm like, yo, I got the drinks on deck. And I put with the Eggo nog. You already know your toilet is going to be out of commission. Everybody's going to be like, oh, I got to go. There's nothing good.
Dangerous situation there.
Yes. Nothing good comes with eggnog.
That's when you just like stare at someone from across the room and give them that nod. Like, yeah, I had that eggnog. And they're going to tell you, we're going to tell you what's up.
Well, I got the picture.
And then you're just going to dip out the room. I mean, I'm not someone who's going to like hate on eggnog in general. I can do eggnog from time to time. And in some recipes, do you use eggnog, like in some for like sweet potato pie and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. So there's room for eggnog. I'm not one of those people that necessarily needs to spike eggnog to enjoy it. But once you start mixing in things like waffles, I think you lost me.
Yeah, waffles, eggnog, milk, liquor. As you get older, then this, like you start to know more about your body, like what it can and can't handle. Some areas where you were, the iron stomach, you're not quite as iron anymore. It's like, all right, this is more like the wood stomach. I can't quite eat and drink milk. And I'm staying far away from eggnog or just eggnog, period. Because if somebody pulls up to my party and says, yo, what's up, Rod? Good seeing you, man. No, don't even worry. I ate earlier. I had a lot to drink. Oh, what'd you drink? Oh, I had eggnog. Oh, so what you're telling me is that this is going to be a brief visit. Like, you're telling me that, you're not going to be here long. You're about to dip up out of here. Okay, cool. All right. Thanks for pulling up. That's what's about to happen.
No.
Yeah. Well, the second story, though, is a little bit more normal. Second one is about Papa John's once more now. Coming from the Smash community, we can't get enough of Papa John's pizza. Papa John's bakes up the new pepperoni-crusted
Papa made his way onto this on this sauce like quite a few times now recently.
Yeah. The innovation at Papa John's seems to be rivaled by a few. they're really pushing the limits on what you can and can't do with pizza. I had a meme that
Innovation is definitely a choice there. Sure, we'll go with that.
Sure, yeah. I'm just going to go with innovation. I'm going to be nice because apparently, this was according to Twitter, Papa John's has a very big hand in the Smash tournament scene, more than I originally thought, which kudos to them. I would tip my hat to you, but I have hat hair under here. So big shout out to Papa John's. Papa John's expands its Papadilla lineup with the introduction of the new pepperoni crusted Papadilla. Touted as the perfect sidekick, the pepperoni crusted Papadilla is a pepperoni and Parmesan crusted flatbread style sandwich stuffed with real cheese made from mozzarella and the brand signature pepperoni. The Papadilla is served with the side of dipping sauce. Surprise! That's what makes Papa John's so goddamn powerful in the pizza industry is the dipping sauce. It's exclusive only to the Papa Rewards members. October 24th through December 25th, 2022 for the suggested price of $7.99. What are your thoughts on this, Denny?
So there's a 2-month period where you have the opportunity to get an exclusive pizza quesadilla, basically. But look at the top of that crust there. And does that look like something that you want to bite into? That layer of cheese, whatever is going on there. It looks very, very yellow there. Like it's very.
I don't know.
I can't tell if that's supposed to be like garlic butter or if it's just very processed to the point of it looks like that instead of like the cheese that's on the inside of this pizza.
I when I see this, I get school pizza vibes. Now, remember in school, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school, whatever, or hell, even some colleges, depending on the town you're from, the food, when they say you're serving pizza, like, oh my God, we're doing pizza today, I'm so excited. The pizza could look any type of ways. Like, I remember there was the average regular slice of pizza, and there was like a weird circle one for a while, like it was like a Frisbee thing, and then there was like this pizza kind of chunk, like this doorstop piece. I'm getting school vibes from this. I feel like, how can we expect, I don't know, Papa John's, I mean this with the most respect.
Papa John's at this point.
What are y'all
My
doing?
expectations went out the door when oh boy started dropping the N-word and other things on situations they shouldn't be. But I guess you could, support Shaq or something and buy one of these, some Shackaroni, whatever it's called. But yeah, I don't think I need any Papa John's flatbread with them adding in. Somehow this is supposed to be a mixture of, like, it says Parmesan crusted flatbread, but that cheese definitely looked like it was more than Parmesan involved there. There's definitely some more things going on the flatbread of this Papadilla. That's very questionable. In my opinion.
And when I see this, I'm caught in the middle of two very, very hard and tough parallels. It's like I am caught between a brother that doesn't know much, doesn't grow much. Like, I want to know more about this, just for the sake of being able, if I have to defeat this thing one day, if it ever comes alive. But then the other part of me is like, the less I know, the better. And that ignorance is bliss. I don't know what to do.
You're going to find out more about it when you're drunk off of eggnog one night, maybe. When you're craving some kind of, buttery snack, and they're like, look, you can get this for $7. Here in Chicago, we have something called a pizza puff, where we don't have to worry about things like a papadilla. I'm gonna get me a pizza puff with some fries with mild sauce, and we can call it a day. But for the rest of y'all, if you want to enjoy whatever this is, we've seen different versions of pizza tacos at this point. This is trying to be something else and calling it flatbread / quesadilla / pepperoni with mozzarella, yet Parmesan, because I want the idea of a quesadilla with Parmesan involved. That sounds appealing.
Well, you know what? We just need somebody from Chicago to make it. Is what the issue is. We can't. I'm sorry, friends. We don't do
this kind of sorcery with pizza here. All right, This is Papa John's is reaching into the dark arts. Okay, it's getting a little bit out of control. It's just
Oh no.
This is a nightmare.
All right, it's getting out of control. All right, Papa John's, someone needs to stop you. All right, you're moving into some dark territory here. I've been watching Lord of the Rings. I'm seeing similar things happening with these pizza products. It's time to calm it down a little bit. All right, stick to the bread and butter, but not the literal butter, because clearly you put some of that on that papadilla, and it looks very disturbing. But it's gonna get better. All right, let's get back to the basics.
That's facts, bro. This is somebody read from the Darkhold when they made this. They were like, "Oh, let's see what the fuck Strange 838 and Wanda was reading from." Like, okay, cool. Bringing people back from alive, soul walking. Okay, America Chavez. Here it is. Papadilla. That's what.
Yeah, they had
That's
Shaq
what
in
we
there
need.
reading the book. All right, Shaq was like, he had a little extra time between boardroom meetings, and he was in there looking at the menu for the next travesty to come out of the situation. But
He was like, "I like that. I like that Papadilla."
but you know what's not a travesty? All right,
Papadilla.
we've got a continuation of some of the momentum from Mamu123.
Oh
He made
shit!
it through and won Shacknews for the week again. This past week, he has been putting in the work, and he won fairly clearly here. I was
It was a
pretty
spanking.
impressed. Yes, I was definitely impressed. Mamu123 takes home the gold this week with a W. So big ups to him. Gonna have to give him a little bit of applause for that one. All right. Amazing job.
Sensational.
We love it here. All right. Almost a full double amount of Shack Pets points this time around. Like, came through pretty strong. Mamu123 and 8 Mikey still putting up, quite the number. But we got some solid competition building there. Patty Ann, which is a new name, popping up as well with the total point amount. Putting in that work on Shack Pets. I mean, across the board, we're seeing some solid numbers here from both the staff and, Mamu putting in that time and effort. Mad
That's
Dog
facts.
Delphi 97 winning Chatty with 13,000 points. And, of course, again, Mamu123 also putting in the work and winning Shack Pets for the week with over 35,000 points in that bad boy. He's been swiping away.
Swiper gonna swipe. Big shout out to him. And of course, this post was created by the dearly departed Lola the Pomeranian. I just want to say, man, big rest in peace. One of the cutest dogs I have ever seen. It's a very somber time at Shacknews, I'm gonna be honest with you. And of course, Asif, if you're watching as well too, we've seen the tweets, but I'm an extended live, hey, we're thinking about you, man. Reach out whenever you can and whenever you're feeling it. We got you in our thoughts and prayers, yo. Remember, like, if it ain't Shaq, it's whack, okay?
Yeah,
We
much
gonna
love.
hold it down.
Lola was amazing. One of the cutest
Yes.
dogs I've ever seen. And she still lives on, as an emo here on the channel, which you can also use. But we would love to see some fresh faces, as I'm sure, the entire team would love to see some fresh people using Shack Pets as well. To share that love, which Lola was a big part of making happen. And showing out for us. So make sure you guys come through. Check out the app. Try it out. If you've got a pet, you can come through and join the ultimate battle for cuteness for free. There's some big things coming down the pipeline. We can't quite talk about yet, but there's gonna be some fun to be had. And we'd love to see, some of your Halloween photos and stuff when it comes around that time. I'm sure some of you definitely enjoy putting costumes on your pets, and we love to see them. I'm definitely going to try and pull some for next week on our other show. So yeah, give it a try and show it some love. But with that being said, we have come to the end of the show. I think it's been a pretty fun one.
I think so. Time flies when you're having fun, friends. Like Denny said, and I'm just going to reiterate it too before we get out of here. Show us some love on social media, right? Follow us on Twitter. We're almost to 19,000. Can you believe it? 19,000 there's some news publications out there that can't even get to 19 followers. We're at 19 1,000. Okay, we've been doing the damn thing. Content out the wazoo. Of course, big shout out to the team at Shacknews, working tirelessly around the clock, getting out those articles, the content, everything. Follow us on social media as well. Twitter at Shacknews, Shacknews Meet on Instagram. Of course, we have 2 channels, Shacknews Games, Gamer Hub videos on YouTube. Subscribe to both, okay? It's free. If you really, really love what you've seen here, subscribe to us, okay? It's like $4.99, $5.99, okay? Shoot us some money dollars, okay? We do awesome stuff. We're also on Facebook as well, too. Our Facebook has been popping off this last so many months. And I guess dunking on Elon Musk could, do that too. So big shout out to everybody who's on the Facebook end of things. Go ahead and shoot that page a follow or a like or however it works on Facebook these days. They're always changing stuff. But yes, thank you guys for tuning into the wide world of electronic sports. This has been Denny Von Doom. This has been your good friend, Uncle Rod. And we are out of this joint.
Peace out, and we'll see y'all again next week.
Ah!